I'm everybody at the Home Depot. I'm that man right there. I've already bought one of those and returned it. I just couldn't get a hitch for my car. But I already had one in Santa Fe, New Mexico, at Big R. Every person that you see walking out with whatever they've got in their bag, I know what they're doing with it. Anything. In any car. In any of those right there. That man, whatever he's going in to buy, I know what it's for. I can build almost anything with everything. I could own a Home Depot and use every single thing in it. Those, I've already owned 2 of those. 2 black ones in plastic. And she took them. But that man, I know what he's got. And I would have the tools to use it. I've already had that propane tank. It's at my mom's house. I've had 2 really nice, from a veteran, Southwest discs. I've bought 2 of them from him, and I'm going to be on my 3rd one. And I left my propane tank at my mother's. And she'll find it in the garage. But I am every man and every woman and every garden and every pond that you've ever seen. I'm the fish mama, the pet sitter, horse trainer, dog trainer, service dog trainer. Land buyer, house buyer, seller. And now I'm working on my next spot to buy another piece of land here. Here somewhere in this area. By this Home Depot. Well, I'm not sure where it's going to be, but it'll be somewhere around here. Because I prefer Home Depot over Lowe's. I like Lowe's, but I prefer Home Depot. I've been shopping at Home Depot since since they first went into business. When they were open 24 hours in Los Angeles. And I'd go there in the middle of the night. And buy pots and plants. And I had a garden on Beechwood Canyon. And I bought lattice and closed the whole thing in. And bought bougainvillea and whiskey barrel and fixed up that place and painted that place. I've painted every place I've ever lived in, ever rented. I've faux finished it and redone it. I've primered it, sanded it, and put it back together. For other people. I bought a house that was a mess. The garden was a whole mess. There were tumbleweeds growing all over it. And I pulled out every single one and planted a water-wise garden in Santa Fe, New Mexico. There were cats digging in it. It was like a sandbox to me. And the grout was all coming up. The flagstone was all coming up. And I was going to take out all the flagstone in it and put a nice garden in it. All wildflowers. Some were coming up on their own. A lot of it was. And I was just going to let it do it. And I took it all apart, and she put it all back together again. And it was going to have nice walking paths. And a bat house. And a beehive. In Santa Fe, New Mexico. I mean, it would have looked amazing. I wanted to get a cargo from a train and put that in and have like a little sound studio there because I like to listen to music, and it didn't have enough space. So I was going to move the fence back and put that in, and then put the coyote fencing on the other side of it, and then enclose the whole thing into a greenhouse. I already took down the fence, the coyote fencing, and paved it. I took some of the pavers that were already there, that were all stacked up in the front, and put a new driveway in there, that was in the front. And then the door was broken, so I could never fix this weird lock that it had, and I tried a couple of times and took it apart and put it back together, and nothing happened. So she left me in this house, and the door didn't work, and I couldn't lock it. So I took off the doors that were already there, the sliding doors that were there. They were super, super thick and heavy. I mean, they must have weighed 60 pounds each. And I slid them, I took them off the rack, and took the whole rack off, and took the doors and bolted them to the front doors of the French doors, and covered the French doors with this sliding door that was for the closet. So it blocked off that from any intruders coming into my house. And I also drilled a hole through this thick, it was the original closet door, and drilled about a 1-inch hole and put my dog tag through it to use it as a peephole, so I could see out of it, so I could see anybody that was coming through the front. But that's what I did to make sure that my house wouldn't get broken into. And she found it that way. They all did. She had me evicted, and I never really knew why exactly. I mean, I could have solved everything if she would have just talked to me, but she just decided. I sent her 1 million emails. I sent her family 1 million emails, that I didn't know what to do with this house. But, I mean, I'm fully capable to shut off everything and not let it freeze. And then she acts like I'm going to freeze the house out, and the pipes are going to break and things like that, when I know how to fix a toilet, when I know how to snake a toilet, when I already have. And I turned off the water in that place. And I told her not to turn it on. And I used a bucket like this. I peed in this bucket for 1 year. But I had a lid. I had a toilet seat on it. I took off the toilet seat that was on the toilet. And eventually I just got a whole toilet seat that they sell for that. So I've had a couple of those. I needed to get another one. But I lived like that and put compost in it. It was, I used cocoa fiber. Cocoa fiber that I bought. Cocoa fiber brick that I use for hydroponic gardening, as well as to make my own soil builder with kelp. And I had my own worm farm and composting bin and everything in that house. But there was a lot of fruit trees that already came there. And some came from nowhere. They were volunteers that just sprung up. There was a lot of volunteers that sprung up just 1 year when it rained a lot. And I had 2 rain barrels that I bought at Payne's there. And a lot of all this stuff was taken from my house. But it was all my idea. The whole house was. I redid the kitchen. I put in concrete countertops. And I bought it all from here. I did it all myself. I can use any tool that this place has that I can afford. Well, eventually I'll just afford it all again. I could drive any car. I can drive a stick shift. I've lived in the snow in Lake Tahoe and in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I've eaten at a lot of nice restaurants there. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I like Mexican food a lot. But I'm from the Southwest. And so, I sort of tend to build like the Southwest. Or see things like a Southwesterner. But I showed horses when I was younger. American Quarter Horses. I was in the 4-H club. And in the Campfire Girls. And my dad, well, my parents owned AFCO burners and controls. And he made burners for oil wells. He was an inventor. And I remember when I was younger, he had a, well, he started out of his garage. But he built burners for oil wells, and that burns off the water and mixes with the oil. So it separates them. That's as much as I know. But he was a welder and a tool guy too. And he had a plant, and I used to go into it when I was younger in Dallas, Texas. And he died years ago. I'm not even sure what he died of. My parents kind of were, I don't know. My mother worked for him as a secretary. And they got a divorce. Well, they used to sort of argue a lot. And he, well, I don't know. I would say I was more like him as far as he liked to fish and hunt. He was a hunter too. I remember when I was younger, he had a duck call, and I used to play with his duck call when I was little. In their armoire, which my mom still owns. And I actually found this. Maybe I put that, but it was an Olympic coin, silver coin. I just had it up here. I probably put it away. But it was the Olympics that I took when I was a little kid and used to play with his duck call. But I found his shotgun was in their closet. And me and my brother used to stand there and just kind of look at it. But it wasn't loaded, and it was in the open. You could see it. But I remember his decoys. And he never even told me about this. I mean, he should have. And I would have loved to have gone with him and fly fishing too, because I became a fisher person too. I used to fish all the time in San Diego to get away from my ex. That's just how much I hated her. But I used to take care of aquariums, service aquariums with these buckets. And I also did the rain gutter grow system with these buckets, the Larry Hall rain gutter grow system. And I bought everything at Home Depot and on Amazon. And I know exactly what to buy in here now that I'm here. Anyway, and root pouches and worm farms. I bought it all from Larry Hall too. And he showed links where to buy it all. But a lot of stuff I bought here, and I bought at Walmart and online on Amazon. But I'm also a cook. I love to cook Mexican food. And, well, I'm a pretty good cook. And a really good gardener. A really good organic gardener. And I've grown a ton of peppers from Mr. Pepper. Bought a ton of pots. I've had more pots than you could imagine. I've made pots out of concrete, and I can make them again.